All right. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
We're going to start with our coaching session roundtable. I am Brianna Millage. I am currently a sixth grade science teacher in the state of South Carolina, where I am in my third year of teaching. And I'm in this degree program for curriculum and instruction because I hope to become an instructional coach one day, helping teachers use resources and materials for their benefit.
Hey, y'all. I'm Kristen. I'm from Shreveport. I went to LSU and now I'm in Monroe. I'm in my 10th year of teaching, so that makes me feel old, Brianna. But same outcome and goal is to be a coordinator, a curriculum coordinator, and just kind of help teachers teach, all the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. Did I miss anything?
I'm Megan Peppercorn. I have kind of the same end goal as well. I would like to focus a little bit more on helping SPED teachers implement technology into their classroom, as well as ideally, like in a dream world, I would have a job where I could do programs to help students with disabilities, and go and teach the teachers how to use those programs, because my degree will be in curriculum and instruction with a focus in ed tech. Is that y'all's as well?
No, mine's just general.
General. So mine has a focus in ed tech, so I'd kind of like to be able to do something more with the programs and teach teachers how to use those programs to best help their students. But this is my 8th year, third grade ELA, social studies, and reading.
Oh, the baby.
That's what I missed.
Still, I don't know how. I don't think I said that earlier.
Okay.
Say I'm in 5th grade math and have been forever.
That's awesome.
So we are here kind of to just talk about and share our resources as far as what we researched, what we gathered from our first coaching session 101, as far as how can we best help our mentees and ourselves through 101 coaching. So if we want to just kind of start, we can kind of start about talking about who our mentees are and what their specific challenges are, and then we can kind of go in and talk about what we gather from part 1, and then kind of reflect on what we gather from part 2, and then all that good stuff. Is that okay with everybody?
That works.
So I can start, I guess. My mentee is a 8th year, 6th grade science teacher. She is actually one of my closest teacher friends, I guess. Her and I had this conversation about, when I was asking her to be my mentee for this program. Her and I had this conversation about how can you implement more technology into the classroom on a one-on-one basis, basically, because our school district is a one-to-one school district where we have every student has a computer. They can take it home sometime. Either they can take it home or not. Well, this year our middle schoolers cannot take it home, but still they have that technology resources. We also provide little hotspots to our kids so they can access Wi-Fi and things of that nature at home if they need to. So her main thing was our district is pushing for rigor, relevance, and I forgot the third R. And it was basically trying to make sure that we're teaching all our students according to their levels and basically growing them individually, not as a whole, but individual growth. And we focus with that with PLC learning and all the other good stuff. So one thing she wanted to specifically focus on based on our school district plans and all that things that they're focusing on is the differentiation. So her goal was to find items or find resources that is able to differentiate for all her students, not just, the students who are on a lower level, but even on the higher level. How can she differentiate in science, even though that's a very difficult subject to talk about? How do you differentiate with science using technology for all her students? So that's basically what her challenge was. What she wanted this coaching session to be about is differentiating reading levels, content, assessments, assignments, etc. She did have a little bit of work that she put in before she, we have our LMS which is Canvas. We use Canvas as our learning management system, where you can you can specifically assign assignments to each individual student, but that kind of gets a little confusing when you're trying to work together in groups, and you know that's a lot of tech work on the back end that I don't think she's, what she says she's not as comfortable with, but she does have a little experience with. So that's kind of what I gathered from her, I guess, problem or issue that we are addressing in our sessions. So
Nice. Um, my mentee, she is a special education resource teacher. So she works with different grade levels. She pushes into classes to help the students in their class, but she also pulls out to do their minutes afterwards. And she was saying how it's kind of been a challenge for her kids to, it's kind of between critical thinking and student agency. We couldn't really put it into one because the students have trouble, like if they don't know how to do it immediately, they give up and want help. Like they don't have the ownership of their learning, and they don't quite have the problem solving skills, it seems like, to finish what they're trying to understand. Whereas like if it was on a pen and paper, they would know other things to do, but like when it comes to doing things on the computer, it kind of scares them almost, and they don't quite know how to like troubleshoot different options in their head where they would with a pen and paper. So that's kind of where we are, trying to help gain some familiarity with computers. And she talked about how she kind of does that and how the district that she's in kind of does that as well. But focusing more on helping adding in some accommodations for her kids with different disabilities.
Megan, my mentee has a lot of the same struggles yours does. And you said is third grade?
Yes.
Yes. So my mentee is a high school teacher. And I mean, I feel like that accountability and that lack of self motivation and self accountability is like, I mean, it's there all across the board right now in K 12. But I, very similar to you, mine was she wanted to incorporate more assessments because my mentee, she teaches all 9th through 12th, and she's facts, family, and consumer sciences. So it's not a core subject, it's an elective, but she wants her assessments to also be guided in a similar platform than what the other classes are using. She does do a lot of hands-on assessments and different project-based assessments, but when it comes down to just assessing the standard and assessing like knowledge of it, she's been using Google Forms because that's what we started with 4 years ago, and she wants to kind of move it to those other platforms that have come up that those core subjects are using. But it was like teetering between assessments and student agency because same thing, taking ownership. Just like yours, the kids, once they don't know it, they're done.
Mm-hmm. They
They
give
don't
up so easily.
they give up, yeah, and or a lot of it was when you do review or when she does different things like that, like, one thing she was doing was, like, Kahoot or things. A lot of stuff is restricted to certain questioning types when
Mm-hmm.
that's not a real world outcome all the time, and so, she wanted something that had a little broader spectrum on how to ask the questions and more interactive, things like that, but also, like, review, like, quick little formative stuff. She's used Kahoot and all those ones we've all heard of, but, she noticed people would be like, "Oh, what they put? Okay, I'll just put that too." Because, when you have especially in a room, like, you can see everyone's computers, you know exactly what they're putting for the answer, and so that student accountability to not just put what my neighbor put, but actually do what I wanted, or, like, as a student, like, what I know. So that's kind of to me, it kinda hit both. It hit the student agency with the assessment blended together on
I feel
mine.
like student agency could kind of go almost into
It
each
go
one of
everywhere.
those.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna add that, my mentee specifically talked about differentiation using technology, but I feel like just like based on our conversations and stuff, like I feel like that student agency piece is like one of the highlights because she's talking about like how students are not taking the steps to try to better education, or not even try to take steps to do their work, let
No.
alone read on their grade level. So it does, I think that's kind of like the highlight or the common denominator between all of us, I guess.
Yeah.
But do we want to talk about we gained from our part 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Who wants to go first? I don't mind jumping in.
Yeah.
Okay, so for my mentee, I've used this in my class and I've enjoyed Ed Puzzle. I don't know if y'all have used that ever. It's really cool, and I think it would help her students because it's like more paced out. You know, the kids aren't given a whole thing to look at and then answer questions about. It has different types of questions, kind of like you were saying, Kristen, different ways to ask questions. It's not just multiple choice. And it allows the students to have a video of some sort, whether it's a YouTube video, a video the teacher uploads, and then the teacher is able to put in different questions at different points, and the student can go back if they have to listen to that chunk of the text for the question. And that's one of the accommodations that a lot of kids have, like redirecting or breaks or I'm trying to think of something else, like repeated directions. They have a lot of those things. So I was thinking with it being in chunks, it might be a little bit easier for them to focus on just like that one specific part, looking for that answer. And then once they get that answer, continuing on.
I like that. I guess just to build that, because I talked about Ed Puzzle also, because Ed Puzzle is really a really good like resource to use to differentiate instruction. Like you can give one student a video that is a little bit slower. You can give one student that's a video, like you can just assign different videos in like Canvas or even Google assignments. That's what's called, Google assignments.
I think Google has it too, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but yeah. But I talked about Ed Puzzle as well as Chat GPT with the way everything is going with AI. Also researched another little program called Diffit, which is like another AI resource. Basically the program, you can put in your lesson, you can put in, I want to teach about sales for 6th grade science, and it gives you this whole lesson plan with key vocabularies, questions, guided practice, and you can put it on different reading levels. And I never heard about it, but I think that's so cool. And that kind of goes along with like Chat GPT, because with Chat GPT, you can say, hey, here's the prompt. Can you shorten this to 500 words using a 3rd grade level reading or things like that? So I do think that Edpuzzle, Chat GPT, and Diffit all can go together with differentiating, as well as student accountability or student agency, excuse me, and critical thinking, because now you have the opportunity to advance the levels using that AI software.
Brianna, with that Diffit, and so when you put something in, because I haven't heard of that one, when you put something in, is it all the same content information? It's just different, I can't talk right now. Based off their, okay.
You can. So I played with it. I did not buy the paid version because it's like $400. But the one that I was playing with, so I typed in sales because I feel like even though I'm doing this for my one-on-one session, I think it's going to be beneficial for my students too. And I typed in sales, 6th grade science, and it popped up with like, so our school district is a phenomenon-based school district. So you need to give the picture. What is this picture showing? It popped up with the phenomenon. It popped up with the vocabulary. It popped up with the questions in different levels. It popped up with reading, like a reading passages in different levels. And I'm just like, and you can import it.
It's a
cool. Oh, you used it before?
I've used it. You can even take like reading passages and paste it in there if you have it and change the grade level. So if like you have a struggling student, or if you have a student that's excelling and needs to be pushed a little bit more, you can bump it up a grade level or down a grade level.
And the platform is the exact same across the board. Like it looks the same. Does it look the same on their computer and stuff?
I've just printed it out. Like I've just printed out I don't know how it looks on the student, and I don't know if it has a student option.
Okay. I was like, 'cause that's one thing our kids, those kids who do need the accommodation, sometimes they get embarrassed because they have a completely different book. And it's like how things are crossed out, things are done, things are accommodated for them. So this, like, that's something that I feel like they would feel like they're looking at the exact same thing as the person next to them. They would have no idea.
And I've used it in small group and it's helpful.
Yeah. That's one thing. So there's also a little video that I put on my like part 2 of my EITP. Yeah, that's what. And I put on there, there was this video link on YouTube that basically says how to use it. You can assign the assignments through your LMSs. So you can assign it through Canvas, you can assign it through the Google software suites, you can assign it through like whatever your LMS is connected to. And therefore, like, you don't have to worry about a student not having, like, you know, like you said, the students' pages is crossed out. Like, it just looks the same either way it goes because it's all through that same LMS platform, just a different reading like level. So
Nice.
yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think I want to
really
try it. I think I'm going to convince my school district to buy it. But
I'm like over here wondering if I can do math stuff with it.
yes, there is math stuff. I used to be a math teacher, so yes, there
There-
is.
yeah.
That's cool. I never even thought about math.
So I was talking to my mentee about her assessments and things like that. And for formative assessments, one thing I was introduced to a while back was Plickers. I don't know if y'all have y'all ever heard of that one? So it's like every kid gets a card and it's basically like it looks like a QR code, but like this way is A, this way is B. Like every direction has a different answer. Now it is like strict to multiple choice type stuff too, but for like a quick understanding of something, they would just hold up their card. But the thing is that it looks the exact same no matter which way you go. And the only person who knows, because it's very small, what letter is your answer. So it takes away the whole, oh, what they put, let me just do that. Because everyone's QR code's different. And then you just either scan your you can do I've done my laptop, I've done my phone, anything, and you just scan the room and it picks up all the kids and it tells you who answered what question. And so you immediately have like data of who has it and who
Oh,
doesn't.
it's a QR, like a QR code, and it just has a small letter, and then
Mhm.
the kids show it. Okay.
So like I know when I've used it, I just printed it on regular white paper, but then I like matted it on construction paper so that obviously it like to stand the test of time and 10-year-olds. But it you can't copy off somebody, you have to actually give an answer. Plus, a lot of the things I actually found more on this database when I was looking up research than I did on the actual assessment platform that we were going to use. But there's more accountability in it because you have to answer and you can't cheat. And there's more interest because how often do you just hold up a QR code for your teacher to scan? There's also a way when you present it, like the kids can see their answer, but it can hide their names. And so you can have class data shown, whereas like other platforms, depending on what name you put in, it's like very obvious who's at the bottom, who's at the top. Whereas this, you can do it teacher mode where you see their names or present mode where you don't see your names. And I I mean, it's just something different, something quick, a quick scan of the room with your phone and it's good to go. So we talked about doing that for quick little formative assessments. And a lot of the research I found was more like, obviously we can adjust our teaching and instruction based off those quick little tidbits that don't take a lot of time to kind of see where the kids are at. But the other assessment, the main assessment platform that we were talking about that the core subjects use is Edulastic. It's now Pear Assessment. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that one, but I know, especially for those core subjects, the standards are in there and there's like a whole library that's already created. Um, and for hers, facts stuff was a little bit hard, but you can insert when you create a test, you can pull from Google Forms. So all her work that she's done doesn't have to be recreated. It can be pulled in, but there's also different, you can do video quizzes. You can use AI to create stuff, or when you go into it, I'm just kind of like looking at the different types of questions. I mean, there's constructor response, there's picture matching, there's labeling a picture and things like that. So basically any question type you could think of, it's on there as a possible way, which was one of her things. She wanted different ways to do questions down to like graphs, multi-parts, charts, um, all matching and putting things in order, things like that. So we were trying to just kind of differentiate her question styles and also pull in some quick formative assessments that give students like put the accountability back on them.
That's awesome.
And what is this called again? This is called Pear Assessment.
Pear assessment. Yeah, it's now partnered. It used to be Edulastic, which is I think what I'll probably always call it now, but it's partnered with Pear Deck. Like Pear, I think Pear
Oh,
Deck,
okay, okay.
I think Pear Deck, I'm assuming, bought it
Mhm.
And this
Just happened within the last like month or two, I think, because it just
Yeah.
made the switch in their
Um,
letter to
'cause
that
even
different name.
yeah, my students still call it edge elastic. I just say, "Look for the green staircase." But, um, yeah, so now it's, like, linked with Pear Deck.
Okay. I'm gonna tell this to my mentee also because she
Yes,
talked about using so Pear Deck and Nearpod are like the same, right?
mhm.
I feel like they're very, very similar.
Okay. So if she just transfer all her stuff to Nearpod or Pear Deck, she can use the peer assessment because it's embedded in it.
Well, okay, so that I haven't figured out yet because, like Megan said, this has only been out for, like it's only been switched over for a month. So, like, my library and stuff from Edge Elastic is still there. The one good thing I like about this versus, like, Google Forms is Google Forms, you have to go in and either make a copy of your quiz or delete all your responses, and here, you just have your test that you assign to classes. But and it tells you, like, you could do it by standard, you could see as they're taking it, red, green, or yellow, like, are they getting it, are they not? And so, like, my homeroom we just did a part of a practice test for LEAP, and I showed them their bar because you can also put this on present mode where, like, one person is called, like, blue soccer ball. Um, and they can see, like, I'm like, they can see where the red is and where the most missed question is. So I know, like, okay, that type of question I need to go back and review. It's very data wise, it's very informative.
Mhm.
But when you're doing the test settings, you could do shuffle your answer options. You could, certain people can get tests read aloud and things like that. So there's not like you'd have to create a new test for big differentiation. Like I know my modified kids, I print a paper copy and I do their modifications on paper and then they transfer it. They do it while they're on the computer. But there's different ways that you can play with it.
Yeah,
I feel
and
like
it is, oh, I'm sorry,
it's
continue.
fine, go ahead.
I feel like she was saying it is a little bit difficult when it comes to the modifications on it because you have to like clone the test and then our district makes them for us. And in third grade, we only use edge or pair assessment for our kids that have test read aloud. Like that's the only kids that have it. In
Hmm.
fourth and fifth grade, they have it for all their tests, but we're trying to prepare them for the leap on the computer. I'm not really sure the thinking behind it, but only our students with the read aloud accommodation get to use Edge Elastic in third grade. So it is a little bit trickier when it comes to like eliminating answer choices. And
Mhm.
I'm not sure if this is me not knowing how to use the program, but when they click to have it read to them, like the reading passage, I haven't figured out a way for them to go back to like the beginning of the middle of the story
Mhm.
without starting the whole story again. Is there a way to do that or?
I can ask. I obviously like, I only use it for math, so when
Sure.
they reread the question, it's just like, "Bloop, okay, done."
Yeah. I,
It does sometimes pronounce, like, if there's variables in there, it tries to say it read it like a word. So I don't think that part is super friendly, more of just, like, the questioning types and things like that. But I agree with you, Megan, the read aloud. But Brianna, this is, like, one of my classes. Like, I can straight up see
Okay, so it's a connected, it's like okay, I do like that. So it's just like we have
like,
something
this
called Mastery Connect.
Mhm. So, like, this question that has a lot of red, if this was my quiz on volume, it's like it's also like a weird box, so I know I need to give them
Yeah,
more exposure to stuff like that. But you can it's also live, like, as soon as they answer a question, you can see if they got it right or wrong.
I like that. So I would say like based on kind of pulling all our ideas together and stuff like that, I would say something to consider for me is find ways how to receive that data because one thing that I feel like I didn't take into consideration until after you were talking about peer assessment was how do you receive that data from the differentiated questioning? How do you receive that data from like how can you easily see it? And that made a lot of sense. Like we
Mhm.
have something called Mastery Connect where I just didn't think about using because it was just like, oh, this Mastery Connect. We use it all the time. And basically what you're saying with seeing is it red, yellow, or green, it identifies that also as well as how many kids missed this question and why do you think they missed this question? And it's supposed to align with the standard. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. I do like that. So, I
That
do.
is the one thing that a lot of because that's what I kinda based all the research on. Because Edge Elastic was n like, nowhere
Mhm.
in research, but it was more data-driven research,
Yeah.
using the data, like, the standards, things like that, to drive like, now I know, like, based off that data, I gotta go back and reteach that type of problem.
Mhm.
yeah, that's nice.
I like
Um
that. And that also goes with that student agency and accountability, because now you're like, okay, little Jimmy over here does not understand anything about volume. How can my mentee specifically hone in on him? Maybe it's something computational that he does not understand rather than he just doesn't know what the word volume, like
Yeah.
little things like that.
That, and just to add to that, there is a setting in there that if they score a certain thing, they have to go back and retake it. Like they
Like
have
a
a chance.
remediation.
Mhm.
I like
I
And
that.
also like
as soon as they submit it, they know if they got it right or wrong.
Oh,
I also like it shows a time limit too, so you can tell if so and so just clicked through the questions. It
I
shows
pulled
how
that
long they
down
spent.
before.
Yep. It's
I
nice
need
to say,
to.
well, on this test, he only spent 5 minutes total. So
Can you put that in the chat so I can write how it's spelled? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Because I think I've been spelling it wrong when I was writing my notes.
It's pear like the pear you eat.
Yes. Okay. So peer assessment.
Mhm.
Oh, peer assessment. Okay.
PEAR, not
Yeah,
PAI.
I was thinking, but I like that, and I have to see if there is I love a connection to the LMS because it makes it easier on teachers grading. Because that's one thing my mentee said. She was like, we have all of these resources and all of this stuff. Like, you don't have time to actually use the resource. And it's also like these resources are not always easy to use. So, like, is it easier to just put it with the LMS? So, well, yeah.
And this is one I had to sit down one summer and figure out. It took a while. So it was kind of interesting that we chose to go with this one because I knew it was a struggle for me. So sitting down with my mentee and being like, this is how you find your library. This is how you make a item. This is how you tag it to a standard. It made me sit down and really think about it.
Mm.
and I've never had that training on it. They've just said, okay, here you go. You use
Yeah.
this. This is how you add their assessment. I'm like, okay, the rest I've kind of had to figure out. So it'd be nice if someone was able to sit with you and
Yeah.
go through it because I'm sure it does so many awesome things that
I'm sure there's stuff I don't even know
I
about
don't
it yet. I've just been playing with it because, again, Leap's on the computer, so test on the computer.
Right.
Mhm.
But
Is there anything we want to add up? I see that the time is slowing down. It says I have 9 more minutes in this meeting. But is there anything we want to add about what we found, what we, kind of a little feedback? I really enjoy your programs. I want to have to tell my mentee about the plickers. I didn't think about that. That's a good differentiation strategy
Yeah,
of,
it is.
and then the ed puzzles.
I would say, Megan, I kind of wanted to hear more about the ed puzzle thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try and think. I like it because so if you go to YouTube, you can pick any of the YouTube videos, or if we wanted to upload this meeting to a YouTube video, we could. And then at different points in the video, you're able to, on your end, the teacher, and you have to pause it and you are able to add a question on there. So something that was stated in whatever minutes of that video, the first 3 minutes. So you have from 0 to 3 minutes, and at 3 minutes, that question pops up and you have different ways to answer it. It's not just multiple choice, but there are different forms of questioning you could have. And then there's also an option for the students to go back and listen to it again. That way, it's not just a quiz at the end of the video with a whole 20-minute video, especially if the videos are longer. If it's a longer video to keep their attention, I think it's important to have it split up.
And then how do you get their answers? What is it on paper or is it they put
It's
it
on the
into
computer.
Okay. So do you get their scores at the end?
Yes.
Okay.
It's through you can do it also, I think, like Brianna said, through Google. One of the ones you're able to do is through Google, and you can see the results from the students.
One thing I did, because so we're on spring break right now, and I'm not gonna be at work the day after spring break. But I assigned Ed Puzzle, which is like a preview information of what we're gonna be talking about in upcoming topic. And I assigned it actually in Canvas, which I had to play around with that system. It was very hard, but you can actually assign it in Canvas and you can see what student asked those questions as well as how many questions, how many kids got question number 5 or something like that. You can see that data too. So I didn't know that until after. Let me see.
Nice.
Nice.
I think it's nice that it's being integrated. It might not be called the same thing, but different platforms are kind of taking that and using it.
Mm-hmm. It makes me want to like start my lesson tomorrow and do something different, even though it's 5 o'clock on a Thursday.
Oh my goodness. Trying to explain. Is there anything else that we want to say, or, you know, just, I think we have some really good resources.
Agree.
Oh,
I'm
it
sure
was
fun.
nice meeting with you guys.
Y'all too.